Hello and welcome. I'm Dal with the Garmin Marine Team. And in today's training, I'm going to be going over Panoptix LiveScope. I'm going to be going over a little technical data on the system. Then I'm going to go through some of the installation tips and tricks. And then I'll wrap up with some settings that should help your customers get a little better picture. So what is LiveScope? LiveScope is the ideal fishing sonar, and it is truly a game changer. We took the best of our high resolution Clearview sonar, married it with the original Panoptix live sonar from a few years ago, and came out with LiveScope, which is high resolution live sonar. LiveScope, the package consists of two elements. You have the LVS32, which is the transducer, as well as the GLS10, which is the LiveScope black box. Looking at the frequencies, I get this question quite a bit. What frequency range are you running? So LiveScope's frequency is 530 through 1100. So what that means, it's actually chirping all these frequencies every second. That's how you're getting that image quality, that almost ultrasound coming back of under the water. When we compare this to the original Panoptix was only one frequency, 417. Again, it was bursting every second, but you only had one frequency. Where with LiveScope, you're bursting 530 through 1100, all those frequencies at the same time. Power-wise, it's putting out 500 watts. Beam width, we're talking about a 20-degree angle by 135, and I'll explain that a little later. One thing I just want to make sure everybody's clear of, the maximum depth of LiveScope, you're looking at 200 feet down or forward, and that is max, and that's in perfect conditions. So if you're in salt water, that's probably going to cut this in half, all right? So make sure your customers are aware of that. LiveScope has the AHAR system built into it, which helps with stabilization. The unit can read water temp, and that transducer can show traditional and clear view as well as LiveScope. One thing when I'm talking about this, so you can switch to clear view and traditional, but you're not going to get a chirp frequency range. So the picture image may not be that great. So use the LiveScope transducer for LiveScope only. If your customers want traditional sonar or a clear view or side view, you need to go with an extra transducer. Don't count on the LiveScope transducer for traditional or clear view. Looking at the beam angles, again, 20 degrees port to starboard, 135 degrees bow to stern. And, looking at the bottom picture, that 135 degrees, we're actually seeing directly below, and in fact, a little in back of the boat, you're probably looking at about 10 to 15 feet in back of the boat, depending on the water depth. And again, you're looking at a 20-degree cone out in front. Up top, in these images, I kind of wanted to explain LiveScope versus the competition here. When you're looking at the competitions, what they consider a Panoptix, they have a 40-degree beam. And a 40-degree beam is really too wide to show you anything, or actually to make an accurate cast. So if you have a 40-degree beam and you see fish 60 feet out in front of you, you're looking at a 60-foot span in front of you. So you may think those fish are right in front of you, but they could be 20 to 30 to 40 feet to the left or to the right. A narrow beam is what you want. So looking at LiveScope, 20-degree beam at that same 60 feet, you're only looking at a 22-foot span in front of the boat. So chances are when you see those fish on LiveScope and you make that cast, that lure is going to be somewhere in the vicinity of that fish, which is going to cause a strike or some reaction, and you're definitely going to be able to see it on the screen. So you want a narrow beam, okay? Wide beam does you no good with Panoptix or Panoptix LiveScope. Just want to give a heads up to everyone out there, we do make a through-hole transducer. It's the LVS 32. Okay, that was launched about a year and a half ago. So for the bigger boats that won't live scope, there is a transducer available. So let's go into installation. So critical thing here, read the owner's manual. It is critical that you install the transducer, especially if you're going to install it on the trolling motor, that you do it correctly. And again, read the instructions. So first, when you're mounting the unit, you're going to have the black box. It's going to plug into the network port on the back of your chart plotter. So the Echo Map series, the GPS Map series, the Garmin LiveScope black box plugs through the network port, and then the transducer plugs into the black box. I recommend putting a switch, a toggle switch, so you can turn Panoptix on or off. You don't have to do that, but what I found, if you're putting it on a bass boat that has 4 chart plotters, you're drawing a lot of power. So a lot of times when you turn all these chart plotters on at the same time, LiveScope may not boot up. So I like to turn each one of my chart plotters on separately, and then I'll go to my switch, turn my switch on, and then I'll have LiveScope boot up. You also want to make sure you have a thicker gauge wire. So a lot of the boats are coming, the wire gauge is too small. So you want to bump up. I would run at least 10 gauge. 12 gauge would be the least, but if you can, go up to a 10 gauge. And you also want to install 7.5 fast acting fuge, and that's required, but it's not included in the box. So when you're mounting the transducer, these 3 options come in the box. You have the barrel mount, so you can mount the transducer on the barrel of the trolling motor, the shaft of the trolling motor. This is probably the most popular, and transom mount. Okay. A couple of tips: if you're mounting it on the barrel or the shaft, do not use zip ties. We found that I'll take that back. If you're going to use zip ties, just hand tighten them. They don't need to be tight. What we found is a lot of people are tightening these zip ties down too tight. And what's happening, you're crushing the cable, and it's causing interference. You're inducing interference into that cable, and you're going to see it on the screen. So, a waterproof electrical tape, if you can. If you want to use zip ties, just hand tighten them. Also, remember, LiveScope will do live forward, and then if you do one click of the transducer, it goes to live down. Leave enough slack in the cable for you to be able to adjust it live forward to live down. Okay, a lot of times I go to the boat and the guy wants to go to live down, but he's got those zip ties on so tight that and he didn't leave enough slack, so the transducer is not turnable. Okay, so again, just 2 tips. Don't use zip ties if you can, and leave enough slack so you can rotate Panoptix. All right, so the Panoptix transducer can mount port or starboard, depending on how you want to mount it on the trolling motor. If you're mounting it on the shaft, make sure you read the instructions. There is a little arrow on the mount. You want to make sure that arrow is pointed up. There is an 8-degree cant right here, 8-degree cant on that mount. And what that does, that allows for that transducer to miss the barrel of that trolling motor. Okay, so there's an 8-degree cant, so it will shoot around the barrel of the trolling motor. So if you look at these images right here, these transducers are mounted completely differently versus being mounted on the port side of the transducer shaft or the starboard side of the transducer shaft. So again, make sure you read the instructions. Same thing if you're mounting it on the barrel. You can look at the pictures here, and this is clearly explained in our instructions. There is a difference in the way the LiveScope transducer is positioned when you're mounting it on the barrel, whether it's on the port side of the barrel or the starboard side of the barrel. All right. So you really need to know how that customer likes to lay that trolling motor on the boat. If it's a prop in the boat, so you can put a boat cover on, or the prop outside of the boat. And that's going to tell you how to mount and what side of that trolling motor you need to mount that on. Okay. So again, it's not hard, but just read the instructions. I get a lot of calls from guys going, hey, my image is wrong. I'm shooting straight down. I always ask them, take a picture of the transducer and show me. And 9 times out of 10, they have the transducer mounted wrong. Like I said before, the transom mount plate is in the box as well. If you're going to mount the transducer on the transom, you need to keep it in the forward position. If you try, it's only going to work forward. You're not going to get the live down image. But again, live forward gives you 135 degrees. So you're going to get live, you're going to get straight down. You're just not going to get that live down image. But you need to keep it in the live forward position. The live down produces too much spray. And again, if you guys have any questions, please email marine.training@garmin.com. Put Panoptix Live Scope in the subject line, and we'll try to get back to you as soon as we can. So another quick little tip. When you're mounting the black box, all of our black boxes have a little light in the middle. We call it, and they produce a blink code. So please, when you're mounting the black box, mount it where you can see that status light. If you call our help desk, or I have people call me and want to know, hey, my live scope's not working. The first thing I ask them is, tell me what this light's doing. Is it blinking green, blinking red? How many blinks is it doing? Oh, I can't see it. Well, I need to know. And if you call the help desk, they need to know what this light's doing. So make sure you're mounting it where it's viewable. Real quick, I want to talk about the LVS 12 because there's been a little bit of confusion about this Panoptix Live Scope transducer. So about a year ago, we came out with the LVS 12, and that's a brand new Live Scope transducer. There's no black box needed. Okay, this is a cheaper version of the regular Live Scope. This unit is only $499, but it is very limited, and it is also limited to what units it will work with. So first of all, it will only work with the EchoMap Ultras or the GPS Map 8600 XSV units. The reason being is there's no black box. This unit has a yellow port on it. It plugs into the yellow port on the back of the EchoMap Ultras or the GPS Map 8600s. It will not work with any of the regular EchoMap Pluses, the UHDs, or the 7600s. If you look on the back of your unit, if it does not have a yellow port, this transducer will not work. But again, this box is limited. It basically only has one array. It's still bursting the same frequencies, but there's only one array. So you're only going to get a 30-degree down and a 30-degree forward. So you're going to be missing a lot of detail that the $1,500 Live Scope box gives you. So again, the original LVS 32 Live Scope system is $1,499. It plugs into the network port. The LVS 12 plugs into the yellow port, and I just want to make this clear. It only works with the EchoMap Ultras and the 86 series XSVs, the 10, 12, 16s only. So looking at the two systems, as I spoke earlier, the Live Scope system, the LVS 32 for $1,499, you basically have a total of 6 sonar beams generated by 3 arrays. You get live down and live forward. You do have to flip, but you're getting a 20 by 135 degree beam angle. With the LVS 32 for $499, you only get 2 sonar beams generated by 1 array. So again, you're only going to get a 30-degree down and a 30-degree forward, okay? And again, that beam is 30 degrees front to back and a 20 degree side to side beam. So looking at the LVS 12, I definitely recommend setting up a combo page similar to this. So you can see your 30-degree forward, you can see your 30-degree down. There will be some dead zone area that you will not be able to see the fish, structure, or your lure. Again, one more combo page. Again, 30-degree forward, 30-degree down. And again, dead spot, dead area right here. Just again, make sure you're explaining to the customer what they're getting in the $499 LVS 12 live scope. I think once you explain it to them, it's going to be well worth them bumping up to the LVS 32. So let's take a quick look at some of the settings. So I get a lot of calls about this. And basically, these are the settings when we rig our pro staff boats, when they leave the dock, this is how we have them set up. Now, they can go in there and change it and tweak it all they want, but right out of the box, these are the settings we recommend. TVGs, we recommend you set to medium. Grid, it's really a preference. I like my grid turned on, but a lot of the guys like the grid turned off, and that's basically the grid right here. I like to know the distance between my lure and that target or that structure in the boat, so I like mine turning on. Appearance, again, personal preference. I set it up on yellow, and that's basically a white screen, and I'll show you how to do that a little later. A lot of people like the blue or the emerald green. Sidebar, we have the sidebar turned off. That just gives more picture for live scope. Focus, pretty key here, and I'm going to show you how to do it in a minute, but we have an auto fresh, and they all come set from the factory in auto fresh. If you're in salt water or brackish water, I probably recommend you go in there and turning the auto fresh to auto salt. That's going to help with that distance and that resolution on the screen. AHRS, make sure the AHRS is turned on and keep it turned on. Scroll history, turn the scroll history off. That's just going to give you on the far left of your screen, you're going to see, again, like your sonar, some of the history you went over. Who cares? I don't. Maximum range, I like setting my maximum range 65 to 70 feet. Set it for your casting distance. Why do you want to see fish at 120, 160 feet? Does you no good. I want to see my lure in the water and how those fish are going to react to that lure. Set it for your casting distance. Most people can cast between 60 and 70 feet on a good day. Set your range at 60 or 70 feet. You're going to have a better image come back up on the screen. And gain, auto low, but this is something you can tweak constantly. So calibrating the compass. So this is something key you want to do. So when you turn your live scope system on, you're not going to have this boat on the screen until you calibrate the compass. And when you calibrate the compass, it's going to actually, again, this icon's going to appear on the screen now, and you're going to actually see which way your Panoptix is pointing. So when you have that Panoptix on the trolling motor, a lot of times I don't know, because I'm looking at my sonar, I really don't know which way my trolling motor is pointing, so I really don't know which way to cast. So I'm constantly having to look back at my trolling motor, or if I have some extra mount that I have live scope mounted to, I have to know which way, what direction that's pointing. Well, once I calibrate the compass, that little icon and that little image that comes out of the bow of the boat, that tells me which way my Panoptix is pointing. So I don't even need to look up. I can actually make a cast because I know exactly which way that live scope is pointing to those targets. So it's pretty simple to do. When you on all of our live scope, when you're in the live scope, hit your menu button. That's the first thing you want to do. That's going to bring your live scope menu up. Then you want to go to sonar setup, installation, calibrate compass, and this is going to pop up on the screen. And just hit begin, and it's going to ask you to turn the boat, and you're going to get a little bar graph that tells you you've 100%, you've completed. And once you've done that, you're going to get that little icon on the screen. So if you didn't get a good turn, you can do it again. Just make sure you do this to calibrate the compass. We talked earlier about auto fresh and auto salt. This is key if you're fishing salt water. So again, from your sonar, from your live scope sonar, hit the menu button. Go into sonar setup, installation, focus. And now you can turn it on auto salt or auto fresh. Very simple to do. Range and gain. This is something new. If you've done our latest software update, This is going to show on your screen now. You're going to get a range and gain that stays on the live scope screen. So this is something I continue to tweak all day long. Don't think you need to set this one time and forget about it. I'm constantly setting my gain. I play with my range a little bit, but I'm constantly tweaking that gain all day long. So if you're not touching the range and gain all day long, you're not using live scope to its full capabilities. So please, again, you don't really need to adjust the range, but play with that gain. It's really going to help out in that image quality coming back. And that's on the screen. So all you need to do is just hit the plus or minus key till you get a better image. Transducer orientation. So we want to make sure the transducer orientation is left in auto. And what that's going to do is when you bring that trolling motor up, all you need to do is one click from the live forward to the live down. Once you do that one click, drop the transducer back in the water, give the unit about 5 seconds and the screen's going to automatically go to live forward or live down. Okay. So again, from the sonar menu, live scope menu, hit the menu button, go to sonar setup, installation, orientation, and leave it on auto. I don't recommend anybody taking it out of auto. So save yourself a lot of headache. Make sure your customers are keeping it in auto. Bam. Echo trails. So this is something, if you're familiar with the Garmin radars, we've done this for several years. So we can turn echo trails on when we're looking for birds. So let's say we see birds on the radar, 10 miles away. If we turn trails on, a little blue faint line will follow those birds. So we can actually look on the screen and see which way those birds are moving. So we've now incorporated that into LiveScope. So to get to it, again, go into your menu, go into sonar setup, installation, trails. I like starting at medium, but you can do fast, slow. Here I selected slow. So what's going to happen is now we're going to have a little blue trail following which way those fish are moving. This is unbelievable. If you're in grass or weeds and you've got fish that are just above that grass and they go into the grass, they go to the bottom, you can actually see where those fish are because you can see that blue little speck going through the grass. Pretty amazing. So once you turn those on, you're going to be able to follow those fish, which way they're moving around the boat. Okay. So, and that's echo trails. Again, I like medium, but you can start with slow. It can busy up the screen a little bit. So again, it's something you're going to have to do to your own liking. And last but not least, on this portion, there's a lot of different colors palettes. There's amber, copper, black emerald, blue, yellow. A lot of guys tell me baits show up really good in the yellow if you're looking for shad and things like that. A lot of guys like the black emerald. They say the bottom contour and structure show up really well. Really simple to get to. Menu, sonar setup, appearance, color scheme. And again, it's your own preference. Here is black emerald. Here's the yellow. So again, whatever you like. I try them all. Some days, depending on conditions, sometimes I'll go to black emerald. A lot of times I keep it on white. Sometimes I like blue. So really, based on conditions, try each one. You may use multiple ones a day. So last but not least, I want to talk about the new LiveScope perspective mount we released about 6 months ago. This mount is $99.99, and you use it with the LiveScope system, the LVS32. So for $99, it's just the mount, okay? So what that does is that's going to give you a perspective mode. And I kind of explain it. Let's say you're watching a baseball game and you're sitting behind home plate about 10 seats up and you're looking out and now you can see the whole baseball field. So now I can see the left field, the right field. I can see first base. I can see third base. So same thing out there on the water. I can see when I see fish and structure, I can tell if it's to the left of me, to the right of me. Uh, Pretty amazing. Um, uh, and it is all real time. And here on the video, you can see I'm just turning that transducer, and I can see if that structure is directly in front of me, if it's 20 or 30 degrees port or starboard. If I see fish, I know exactly where they are, and I can see exactly where to cast. Pretty amazing. And it's only a $99 option. Okay. So again, that mounts on the shaft of your trolling motor, and you're going to take your Panoptix transducer and you're going to mount onto the new perspective mount. So with that mount, you're still going to get your live forward, which is 20 degrees by 135. So if you have it in this orientation, you still have live forward. One click, you're going to go to live down, so you're not losing anything. Just like it's mounted on the shaft of your trolling motor, you've got live down. But now, if you swing that mount forward, you're going to get the perspective mode. So 150 degrees by 20 degrees. And now that's where you're seeing the whole field, as I was talking about earlier. So pretty crazy. We also, in the box, uh, we supply a little sticker that you're going to put on the Panoptix transducer. So that's going to help you orientate yourself with where that transducer needs to be for live forward versus live down versus perspective mode. And this sticker comes in the box. Just helps align the transducer. And to get to that, you're going to go into your live scope settings, sonar setup, installation, orientation, perspective mode. And again, you don't lose anything by adding this mount. You still have your live forward, you still get your live down, but we've added perspective mode. So that was it. I know I was pretty quick. I want to thank you guys for joining me. Again, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to marine.training@garmin.com. Put Panoptix Live Scope in the subject line, and we will try to answer those questions in a timely manner. All right, guys. Thank you. Hope to see you on the water.